severe thunderstorm warning that has just been announced for Jefferson County, Missouri, and that is in effect through noon. We also can expect those storms that are moving through to be dropping some very heavy rains and maybe some flooding downpours. But the good news is once they pass, it's going to get much cooler, and we're going to have a high tomorrow of 81 degrees. Right now, it's 91 degrees at 12:04. I'm Debbie Monterey, KMOX News.
Brought to you by Terrace Senior Living of Eureka. Check out the Terrace in Eureka for affordable senior living with 24-hour nursing supervision, delicious meals, medication management, and activities. The Terrace is affordable and will work with your Medicaid plan. Go to rspseniorliving.com and look for the Terrace Private Assisted Living.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. And by Anderson Hospital, a Newsweek World's Best Hospital. Now the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Thank you for making the Gashouse Gang one of the more popular shows in town right now. People are really tuning in to these noon shows and recycling content. How about yesterday? Chris Ranji, I'm Tom Ackerman. Ollie Marmol jumps on there and says, what was the exact quote? He said, I want to make sure that we're not just sneaking into the playoffs every year. I want to beat people's ass.
Yeah.
And we just, decided to put that out there, and a mixed reaction to that from the fans. I thought some people said, hey, you know what? I didn't like Ollie, but I do now. Or some people said, don't make me like Ollie so much. This is amazing. And then other people said, well, he's going to be gone anyway, or we need a new manager if we're going to do that, or shut up, Ollie. Or, it's like, it was just the craziest array of reactions to the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals.
I do get it, because when you are making the lineup, you're in the dugout, you're responsible for who pitches, what the batting order is. People tend to assume that the results on the field are mostly about you, and that, well, there's just no way this team's going to be able to really take it to the next level with this current manager, which it just isn't. I mean, we don't know for sure with him, but it's not true. It's that everything that is happening wrong or right with about 90% confidence is about the roster. Either the roster is good enough or it's not good enough. Oliver Marmol can manage a playoff team. I don't think there's any question about that. And you can come at me and tell me that I'm absolutely wrong, and I'm going to tell you, no, I'm not. I'm right. I know I'm right about this. It's whatever problems they've had this season are very clearly roster issues. They're just not strong enough. They're just not strong enough in certain areas. They got a pretty good bullpen, but clearly the pitching is wearing down the starting rotation. Clearly the offensive players they've got as of right now are not good enough. It doesn't mean they won't be in the future. It doesn't mean Jordan Walker won't be next year or the year after that. Maybe we're going to see him continue to grow. Mason Wynn will continue to grow. What the manager can do is provide a good environment for these players to be as good as they can be and develop. And there's not much evidence to me that he's doing the opposite of that. You're going to have to show me that he's not fostering a good environment for that clubhouse in order for me to believe you.
Casey Stengel was once quoted as saying, managing is getting paid for home runs someone else hits.
It's such a great line. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, this game is about power, a lot of it, power and strikeouts. It's not the sexiest thing. It's not necessarily always the most exciting thing for baseball to just be home runs and strikeouts. And they've tried to get away from that a little bit. That's what the rules are with the shift and all of that stuff, and trying to get more action on the base paths and making the bases bigger. So there's more steals. So there's a little bit more going on than just a home run, strikeout, walk game, which is what it became for a while. But a manager does not control how much power his lineup has. He just doesn't, and there's a message right now from Cole Bassett's left foot, who is watching on YouTube, and you can watch us on YouTube as well.
Cole Bassett, a soccer player.
That's right. And he says Marmol's record career, 295 wins, 282 losses, a .511 winning percentage over 577 games. Yeah, I mean, it's what he's done. And a lot of that is based on the roster. Almost all of it is entirely on that. He can't make this a power lineup. And if you look at all of the teams in baseball that are fighting for playoff spots right now, almost all of them do this thing very well. They hit home runs, they hit for power.
Here's a perfect example. Okay. Our guest today at 12:30 is one of the greatest managers of all time. Joe Torre, the Hall of Famer, is going to be our guest after the 12:30 weather and break. Guess what? He was the manager of the Cardinals in the 90s.
How good was he here then?
And they weren't good.
Right.
And magically, he became one of the greatest managers of all time. He had a great roster. Now, he had the ability to manage those people and those personalities and those egos and the media and the pressure. And he did it. He won all of those World Series with the Yankees. But it didn't make him a bad manager when he was in St. Louis. He didn't have the pieces. So Ollie's point, the context of the question from Bernie Miklasz was, what do you say to Mo when you're disagreeing or when you want to step up and say something? What is that like? And he said, we do it through our play. And he said, look, I'll say this and I'll say it the same thing when it comes to Heim. And we discuss the future of the organization is that I don't want to just sneak into the playoffs. I want to beat people's ass. What he was saying was, I want this roster to be the very best it possibly can be. I want us to make these moves, what we're going to do here in the future, to be great for a long, long time, not short-term solutions, long-term greatness. And if you look at the roster, yeah, it's messed up. I mean, they don't have enough starting pitching. That's clear. Everybody's injured in the minors except for McGreevy. And other than that, nobody's stepped up to be great. They have like 700 left-handed bats. They need to relieve that logjam somehow because another one's coming in J.J. Weatherholt, and on it goes. The roster needs to be rearranged and needs to be strengthened for the future. And Ollie is not without fault. I mean, he has things that he does in-game decisions, just like any manager, that don't always go his way. But I think he's done a pretty darn good job overall. I really do.
Craig Counsell is considered one of the better managers in baseball. The Cubs went pretty hard to get him. He left the Brewers. Guess who's in first place in the division? It's the Brewers.
Yeah.
Counsell's gone. And they've lost players, over the last couple of years. Brewers are in first place. Yeah. So I think I have to reiterate this a lot. When I talk about managers, I have always said that they matter to a very limited extent. They can do certain things. They could, again, create a good environment for your players. But this is not an X's and O's game. They're not. Teams are not winning because the managers in the dugout calling for hit and runs, and they're not
right.
They're not calling for the home run play.
Or calling a timeout.
Calling a timeout.
Okay, guys, here's the play we're going to run.
Yeah, and sometimes a pitching change it can and does matter a lot.
Yes, it does.
But that's not the bulk of it. The bulk of it is how good your team is. It's about the quality of your roster. Mm-hmm. And the Torre example is an absolutely perfect example. Wasn't good here, goes to New York, Hall of Fame manager. Yeah. So it's just that easy. But I think we look at managers like they're head coaches in football, which is not the same sort of influence. It's a whole lot different. Much different beast.
11 world championships, 19 pennants, 15 division titles. The Cardinals are one of the greatest teams in baseball history. It is time to get back to that. And I think most fans, when they heard Ollie say that yesterday, said, right on. Now,
yeah,
that doesn't guarantee he's the manager next year, but he's saying the right things. Now it's about, in his words too, it's about action. Words can only take you so far. They have to get the job done. Everybody in that organization, it starts from the top and it continues on. When we come back, we'll look at that. The trade deadline is tomorrow, 5 p.m. Brendan Schaefer, STL Sports Central, KMOV. He'll be with us. Joe Torre after the 12:30 break. It is the Gashouse Gang. We're sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, and by Anderson Hospital. We'll be right back.
Named one of Newsweek's world's best hospitals for 2025, Anderson Hospital is your hospital for life, delivering exceptional, compassionate care to families across the Metro East. From emergency services to specialized treatments, our dedicated team supports your health at every stage. Experience world-class care close to home. Discover the difference at andersonhospital.org.
Calling all soccer fans, the Premier League is coming to STL. St. Louis City SC will host English Premier League giants Aston Villa Football Club Wednesday, July 30th, 7:30 p.m. at Energizer Park. Reserve your seat for this historic match now at stlcitysc.com/tickets. Wednesday, July 30th at 7:30 p.m. That's stlcitysc.com/tickets. St. Louis City versus Aston Villa, presented by Purina.
This is Mason Wynn of the Cards. Community America asked me to tell you what it feels like on Profit Payout Day, when our members get a portion of the profits. I'm thinking it probably feels like opening day. Exciting, new, or even better, I bet it feels like playing the star shortstop who turns a game-winning double play. And the fans go wild. They ask for selfies with you and autographs. You get a lifetime supply of free stadium hot dogs. Yep, that's basically what it feels like when you get your profit payout. Community America Credit Union, invested in you.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Now is the perfect time to start on your next success. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start August 13th. An accredited state university, University of Maryland Global Campus, offers online and hybrid courses. Plus, you can earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits towards a master's. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chevy.
Because we have lawyers in all 50 states, I see lots of lawyers' ads. Most seem to be bragging on results, but are they true or misleading? For example, in some cases, a firm may try a case even though the at-fault party has no lawyer, then brag in the ad about their results. My son Matt got one for nearly $50 million, but we never collected one dime. Some lawyers may say they got a result even though they were sitting second chair at a firm like mine, and even though they had little to do with it. Happens all the time. All that glitters is not gold. At Morgan & Morgan, our results are real. Visit forthepeople.com and go to settlements and verdicts to see for yourself what your case may be worth before you hire a law firm. Do your homework. Fact check. It's easy and too important not to. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
That baby's gone!
Cardinals fans, FanDuel Sports Network is your home of the Cardinals.
That ball was mashed.
And there are more ways to watch this season.
Holy cow!
Subscribe directly to FanDuel Sports Network to stream the Cardinals without blackouts.
How about that play?
Or watch through a TV provider.
Incredible!
Including DirecTV, Spectrum, Xfinity, Fubo, and more.
He got it!
Learn more at cardinals.com/TV.
Ball game! That couldn't have worked out any better for the Cardinals.
104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Stronger than ever.
Trade deadline is 5 o'clock tomorrow. Did we just make a trade? What is this here? Did we just acquire Brendan Schaefer from STL Sports Central?
Oh, no. Looks like we did.
Did we just steal him?
What did we give up?
I don't know. We're working on see who went the other way. Brendan Schaefer joins us on KMOX's Gashouse Gang with Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. What's up, Brendan?
Hey, guys. How we doing? You got me here?
Got you.
We
You
do.
sound great. You're looking good on YouTube, X, and Facebook, and it's great to have you as part of the show. We do this little noon hour where we talk some ball. It flies on by. Hall of Famer Joe Torre following you, so, it's great to have you.
Yeah, I'm batting leadoff for Joe Torre. That's a regular Wednesday. glad to be with you guys.
Well, we wanted to bring you in because you do an excellent job. In all honesty, I mean, you do a great job of breaking down not only the Cardinals, but I think in the trade deadline, you have that sort of urgency of trying to dig and figure out not only what's coming, but what makes sense. So let me ask you that. As you survey this Cardinals deadline, and make no mistake about it, the Cardinals are very much involved here. The phone's ringing off the hook. What do you see for them in the next 24 hours?
Yeah, when you think about what makes sense, I think it's different than what we thought might have made sense early in the month before the Cardinals went on a bit of a slide in July. We thought, man, they were putting it together. They had a chance to make a run at least a wild card, but they've slid out, and really a lot of that has come from starting pitching just not being quite as consistent. And that's unfortunate, but it's kind of the way they stacked their deck to begin this season. So we can't say it's particularly a surprise, especially knowing how many of those AAA pitchers have gotten hurt. It's unfortunate, but it's where they're at. So now I do think you have to kind of look at things as being able to capitalize on short-term assets. And so guys like Ryan Helsley and Phil Maton, who are so instrumental to that bullpen, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Cardinals capitalize on their value, because that relief market does seem to be robust, where they can get maybe a couple of decent prospects for these players. And then you think about Steven Matz. I would be a little bit more hesitant to move him, just because you do want to make sure you're leaving behind something tangible, right? 2023 down the stretch was kind of bleak. It was kind of hard to watch as Cardinals brought guys in basically off the street to fill innings. And you don't necessarily want to replicate that for the young players that are on your team that should be taking value from the games in August and September, even if it doesn't lead to the postseason. So you trade a couple of those guys on expiring deals. Guys, that's what I think the Cardinals ought to do. And we'll see if Mo and company can find some value for those names and if it makes sense on their end.
That's Brendan Schaefer, STL Sports Central, KMOV. Hang tight, Brendan. Michael Calhoun is in from the KMOX newsroom.
This is just in. KMOX News has confirmed that St. Louis County Executive Sam Page has been indicted by a grand jury. There are 4 counts involved in this indictment. The first is committing Class 4 election offense, public funds expenditure by political officer. The second is another election offense. The third is stealing $25,000 or more. And the fourth count is stealing $750 or more. We previously told you this week that the county executive was under investigation by the Missouri State Attorney General related to a county mailer that was sent out about a proposition that was on the ballot. The accusation was that it was a political mailer, but the county executive said it was for informational purposes. But again, the county executive in St. Louis County, Sam Page, has been indicted by a grand jury.
Michael, thank you. KMOX's Michael Calhoun. Stay tuned to KMOX and keep your eyes on KMOX.com and our social media channels for the very latest.
Sounds not good.
No.
Seems kind of bad.
I thought he was going to tell you we were breaking a Cardinals trade. I was like, wait a second, what happened? No,
Look, this is
we're good. Okay,
that's how we do it over here at KMOX.
News station first and foremost, and sometimes the news sucks. So anyway, glad to have you, Brendan. So we were talking about what the Cardinals might do here and what the job really has been for Oliver Marmol this season, and the idea that it was going to be a transitional year going in. You know, we watched them get off to a pretty good start over about 2 months and think, okay, well, in a transitional year, maybe this is actually a playoff team. Maybe it's competitive enough. So as you look at what they have done this year and where they are at the moment, they're 4.5 games out of a wild card spot. What is your opinion of the job that Marmol has done here?
I think he's done a lot with what he's had to work with, right? Like, we look back to the offseason and we know that it wasn't the impetus of the front office to put the absolute best product on the field, no matter the cost, right? Ownership had a part in that, where they said, hey, we're going to take a little bit of a step back. We're going to spend this time kind of reorganizing the structure of our minor league system. And I think already those moves are paying dividends, and we're going to see the guys like Rob Cerfolio that were brought into that hierarchy pay dividends down the road. But what that meant for the big league club was you kind of roll with what you've got, and that leaves you a little bit limited. You knew that guys like Eric Fetty and Miles Michaelis might have their ups and downs throughout this season, and you knew that there wasn't necessarily the cavalry coming from down below. A lot of the prospects that you feel good about for the future might need yet another year, especially now knowing the injuries that they have endured. And so it felt like it was going to be a case where with internal options, if you could get this team to the mid 80s in win total, that would be a pretty great accomplishment. And that's really what they've been on pace to do outside of just the last few days where you kind of fall off the pace. But I would say for Oliver Marmol, when you look at what he's had to work with and a lot of the injuries that have come through, I mean, I think he's managed this thing pretty effectively and honestly kept the morale into a place in the clubhouse where it can put you in position to have that be a little bit more of a difficult conversation at the deadline of whether they ought to sell.
Brendan, back to the deadline activity on Thursday, or maybe even today, we don't know. But the pitching, we talked about Helsley, Maton, Matz, perhaps Romero. There could be some others that the Cardinals are getting calls about. What do you envision from the position side? And in particular, Nolan Arenado, do you see a scenario where he is dealt?
I think it would make sense if there are conversations where he is willing to maybe expand that list a little bit compared to what he had given John Mozeliak in the offseason. And look, maybe that's not necessary. Maybe a team like the Dodgers says, hey, we're willing, as long as we can figure out the money of it all, to take on some of this contract. For Nolan, I think the willingness would conceivably be higher than it was, because now you're here knowing the Cardinals are around 500. This may not be, after all, the year where they're able to get that chase for a world championship. And so with that in mind, if there's a team that's contending that Nolan could join midstream and perhaps have that opportunity, who's to say that that wouldn't give him a boost offensively? I think he's been about as good defensively as we've seen him. I haven't seen a drop off. And in fact, I think he's been better than he was the last couple of years at the hot corner. But offensively, he's obviously been sapped of his power. Could he be even energized by a move toward a contender? And could it allow for the Cardinals to open up that spot for third base? Nolan Gorman can get some run. You can find out more about what you want to do with him when you come to the offseason. We know J.J. Weatherholt is looming for an infield spot as well. It seems like on paper, guys, that it would make sense if there's a willingness from Arenado's side to get it done. But of course, how much money would the Cardinals potentially be willing to eat? Because we do know the production has declined for Nolan in recent months, really.
That is a big part of it, without a doubt. You hit the nail on the head with the money. And, you know, case in point, look at Paul Goldschmidt getting off to that great start and sustaining it. He didn't have to be the guy. You know, he could be a guy in a good lineup, although the Yankees have some work to do. They're currently doing okay, sitting there 4 games out of the AL East, but they have conceded that for the moment to Toronto. What exactly do you think the suitors would be? Who exactly would the suitors be for Arenado? I mean, it seems like that list is limited at best right now.
It's limited, but then you look at like the third base market. Eugenio Suarez is kind of the name that everybody would have at the top of that list. And so could there be a team, if and when he is dealt, that says, well, I missed out on the sweepstakes. If I can get St. Louis to eat some of the money and you know, convince Arenado to play here, whether I was on that list in January or not, is that something that, you know, could come to fruition? Like those types of teams that miss out on Suarez, I think, could pivot to Arenado if the finances of it make sense. But I think if you're the Cardinals, you're not necessarily in a place anymore where the return matters all that much. I know that's kind of, you know, not lovely to say, but mostly you're thinking about clearing a little bit of payroll space and more than anything, clearing that third base space for a guy like Gorman, who's down there rehabbing in Springfield. You kind of want to know, because he didn't get a lot of playing time early. And then as he got regular at bats, you started to see the home runs creep up for Nolan Gorman. As Chaim Bloom is coming in next year, a better idea of, hey, complete runway for a Nolan Gorman. What does that look like? And maybe if that turns into him providing some offensive productivity, you know, Arenado is a potential future Hall of Famer that you have in your clubhouse, but could you see potentially not much of a drop-off if Gorman can play at a high level? Like, those are the balances that I think the Cardinals could be considering at this moment.
The Astros and Twins have allegedly had conversations about Carlos Correa. So wonder if that were to happen, if they were to make a deal there, how that would affect the Arenado situation. But I have to think that at this point, because of the way the season has gone, that, you know, Arenado would be more interested in going to a place like that just so he can be somewhere with a chance to win, I would think. But again, I'm not inside his head.
Yeah, and none of us are. It's hard to speak for him because, look, I think in the offseason when he declined to go to Houston, that was a case where, you know, yeah, Houston was maybe on that list, but he was perhaps hoping to see, hey, if something else materializes that I feel a little bit more strongly about with my family and my situation, you jump on it. But that was also a signal of, hey, I'm willing to come back to St. Louis. And the guy showed up in Jupiter and was a consummate pro about handling the way that went down. So now that we have seen the early surge of the Cardinals sort of fade back into a 500 club, which could teeter them towards selling, does that add some data points to the decision-making process for Nolan, where he's like, okay, I mean, if they're moving a Ryan Helsley, if that comes to fruition, it tells you kind of where they think they are, at least for 2025. And I've got a shot maybe 3 months from now to be playing in playoff baseball if I accept a deal that might be put on my table. So, yeah, Chris, I would have to think you would at least consider it through that lens.
Brendan Schaefer does work for STL Sports Central, KMOV, and KTGR in Columbia, where they are hyped about the Tigers, I would imagine. Before we go here in our final minute, give us a little synopsis of Mizzou training camp here in the first week.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, the quarterback battle between Sam Horn and Bo Pribula, the high-profile transfer that came in from Penn State, is ongoing. I'm of the belief that Pribula will get the gig. Horn, of course, recently signing a baseball contract with the Dodgers, but he'll still be with the Tigers. He's there with them in camp right now. Whoever wins that job, I think the offense has a chance to maybe surprise some people this season. Ahmad Hardy is a running back I'm really excited about transferring in from the Sun Belt Conference. And I think Drinkwitz did a really good job of reloading the defense at all three levels to where, look, Mizzou maybe nationally across the conference, not huge expectations. The media voted them 12th in the preseason poll for SEC football. But I feel like they have a real good chance to exceed that by the time it's all said and done.
1 month from today, massive game. Texas at Ohio State in college football. Unbelievable. Brendan Schaefer, appreciate your time. Thank you for the contribution to the Gashouse Gang. Have a good one.
Thank you, boys. Appreciate you.
With Chris Ranji, I'm Tom Ackerman. Hall of Famer Joe Torre is next on KMOX.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Oh, Lord. 92 degrees right now in St. Louis. It is mostly cloudy. That real feel AccuWeather 112. But we're going to get a break by 7 o'clock tonight. The extreme heat warning will go away. The weather is sponsored by Sachs Financial.
Hey, it's Jeff Sachs at Sachs Financial, retiresafestl.com. Have you ever wondered what it's like to work with a financial advisor? Are you in your 50s or early 60s and really haven't talked to anybody about how you retire? Give me a call today. Check out our website, retiresafestl.com.
Years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
Just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Cards manager Ollie Marble joins the Gashouse Gang every Tuesday at noon. Sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center on the voice of the Cardinals. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hitters are on their own. There's a high fly ball to deep left field, way back, way back. Get out of here. Home run, Torre. Joe Torre Hits a home run into the bleachers and left, and he'll be royally greeted in the Cardinal dugout as the Cardinals and Bob Gibson grab the lead here in the 8th by the score of...
Oh, what a great sound that is. Jack Buck calling a Joe Torre blast. Welcome back to the Gashouse Gang with Chris Ranji. I'm Tom Ackerman. We welcome in the Hall of Famer, Joe Torre, back to KMOX. It's great to have you, Joe.
It's like being home again, guys.
Hearing that voice, one of my favorite memories of covering baseball was the 2000 All-Star Game. I was a young 25-year-old reporter, and I was on the field, and you were there, and there's a scrum of reporters trying to get your every word, and you somehow picked me out of the crowd. I was wearing a KMOX shirt, and you said, KMOX. Nice. And you said, say hi to Jack Buck for me. And I said, you know what? I'm about to go on the air with him in a little bit, and I will do that. And what a feeling that was for a young guy to be able to talk to you and Mr. Buck in the same day.
Well, it was interesting. It is, I started my career with the Brave organization, got traded over to the Cardinals in 1969. And you walked into that clubhouse, and not taking anything away from the clubhouse, I left because I played with Hank Aaron for 8 years. But I matured. And I think it may have been the fact that, you get traded and you realize somebody doesn't want you anymore. And on the other side of the coin, somebody traded for you. So I was surrounded by guys who have just been to the World Series, and Bob Gibson and I, all of a sudden became close friends, which was a treat for me.
Yeah, Joe, we were just talking about 10, 15 minutes ago about your Hall of Fame career, and we were talking about the current Cardinals manager, Oliver Marmol. And I know the game is different than, it was 20 years ago, which was different than it was 20 years before that. But what do you think is the most important important job that a manager can do for his team?
Yeah, to me, I think it's communication. I think leadership comes, from being able to listen. To me, I think that was my biggest aid was listening and making sure you can decipher what you're hearing, and being able to approach it and face it, whether it be good or bad. When you have, now you have 26 players, but back when I managed, 25 players, I always felt I needed to have each and every one of them, even though they couldn't all play them the same day, be ready to and understand that at some point during the season, they're going to be needed. And, it's the door has to be open. I mean, that's the way I look at it. And anybody from your 25th player to the trainers, you're there for everybody. And I didn't realize there was stress involved until I stopped doing it.
Joe Torre is with us on KMOX. Joe, it's great to have you not only on KMOX, but in town. My understanding is you will be at the game tonight. And more than 20 years ago, you and your wife, Allie, founded Safe at Home to end the cycle of domestic violence and abuse through education. This is something very close to you, isn't it, Joe?
It really is. I'm the youngest of five, and my dad was abusive. He was in New York City plainclothesman, and he was abusive to my mom. I mean, I never saw him physically harm her, but I saw the results of it, and I was there when he went into the drawer to pull his revolver and, threaten her as a 8 or 9 year old. And it was something I never shared because I figured we were the only family in the neighborhood that was dealing with this. And so I kept a lot inside. I was a nervous kid. I played hooky a lot because I was afraid I was just nervous about everything. And, I guess I can say that baseball saved my life because I was able to go in playing baseball, have a place to hide and be absent from what was going on and what was bothering me. And I thought, I thought I was born with this nervousness, and I thought I was born with the, lack of self-esteem. And it wasn't until years later, actually, right before I physically took the Yankees job, that I happened to go to a seminar with my wife in Cincinnati, because I had gotten fired in June from the Cardinals. And we moved to Cincinnati because that's where my wife is from. And I knew if I was going to look for a job, I needed her to be surrounded by family. She was pregnant with our daughter. And we went to this seminar. She asked me, you want to go with me? And well, I had no choice. She was 8 months pregnant. I wasn't about to say no to her for anything. And it turned out to be a self-help thing that I was very uncomfortable with. And a speaker one day, because it was a 4-day affair, the speaker one day was up, and I can't tell you what he said, but he struck a nerve with me. And I wound up standing in front of perfect strangers crying my eyes out, because he connected the dots. And I realized that what my dad was doing in the home was affecting me in the ways that I thought, were, I was basically born with. And so once I felt the freedom to want to talk about it, that's when we started our Safe at Home Foundation, moving to New York. We always did something involving kids. And it was my wife's idea, along with my older daughter, to do it through education. And, I'm proud of it, because we've done it over 20 years. And, we reach close to 50,000 kids each year, and it's been very satisfying for me.
And you have these Margaret's Place sites, and you've got 30 of them that operate in that New York area. Tell us about those.
Yeah, they're Margaret's Place. We named it after my mom. I mean, if my mom was still with us, she never talked about it, and she never, like, she was born in Italy. I'll give you an example. She was born in Italy, and I used to ask her as a kid, where in Italy were you born? She says, you're American. And then come to find out later on that my dad made her feel inferior because she wasn't born in the United States and stuff. So, we named these safe rooms after my mom, Margaret's Place. And, we have 30, as you mentioned, and they're spread out. We have, I think, eight in New York. Most of them, because we just got a grant in Los Angeles, and we have 19 programs in Los Angeles. We have one in Cincinnati, which, as I said, was my wife's hometown. And then we have 2 in Tahiti, believe it or not. So, as I say, we touch a lot of kids, and we know what our program does work. And these kids, especially in today's society, if these kids go out who have, same type of upbringing that I had, and not have the ability to be lost in something positive like baseball for me, it's a terrible place out there, because some bad people can get a hold of these kids and really lead them in the wrong direction. So, we're very thankful to the Cardinals for allowing us to have an awareness night. And if people want to know more about what we do, it's joetorre.org.
Real quick, just to follow up on those Margaret's Place sites, do you have intention on expanding? I mean, you've already got 30 of them. Do you think you might open more around the country?
Yeah, you'd like to. Again, it's someone sponsors it. It costs money every year. Obviously, we have a couple of functions. We have a gala in LA, a gala in New York, and then we have a golf tournament in New York. And for instance, real quickly, the one in Tahiti, a friend, one of our board members was a friend of Mareva Marciano, and she came to visit a Margaret's Place out in the West Coast, and she says, we need this in Tahiti. She was born in Tahiti. She was Miss France, and it took us about 7 or 8 years to be able to open one in Tahiti, and actually opened two because there's an overflow of kids that need what we do. And her husband started Guest Jeans, and they basically sponsor these two programs out there financially. And it as I say, it works. And the kids. We listened to testimony from the kids when we went to Tahiti to visit, and this one young girl said if it wasn't for Margaret's place, she'd have taken her own life. And it's that kind of stuff just gets you right to the bone, and you realize you're doing the right thing. And more places we have available to us, the more kids we can reach.
Each year, Margaret's Place programs reach more than 49,000 students. Since its inception, Safe at Home has served hundreds of thousands of youth, families, and communities. And as Joe said, you can learn more at joetorre.org or follow Safe at Home on social media. Joe, just before we go, Chris's question earlier about managing and the best qualities you can have as a manager. Ollie Marmol is like a sponge. I mean, he talks about learning from Tony La Russa. I know you've had some good interactions with him. In fact, I recall watching the two of you chat on the field on opening day as opening ceremonies were underway. What do you think of Ollie Marmol?
I think he's doing a great job. These players just have a good look about them. And we chatted, and what I've said to every manager that I come in contact with, if there's anything I can answer, any question I can answer for you, don't hesitate to call. And I love the game. I'm proud. I mean, I had the good fortune of being involved in the All-Star game this year, and to mingle with the American League players. And I venture to say that the game's in good hands right now. I told these players, because Aaron Boone gave me a chance to chat with them. I said, the game, your career is only so long, and you own this game. You have a responsibility. Just make sure when you pass it on to the next group, that's in better shape than when you got it. It's a great game. I love it. It always felt brand new to me, and I just feel very fortunate to have been involved in it for so many years.
One of my favorite moments as well was covering the 2014 class. How about this class, Chris? Tony La Russa, Joe Torre, Bobby Cox, Greg Maddox, Tom Glavine, Frank Thomas. What a day that was in Cooperstown, Joe.
It really was, and we just had it last weekend. And the speeches from CC and Billy Wagner and of course Ichiro. Ichiro was a monster, man. He was really great, and it's I just get goosebumps. When you go up there and visit. When I was inducted in 2014, and I walked into the Otosaka Hotel, is where we stay in Cooperstown, and the first person to come up to me was Al Kaline welcoming me to the Hall of Fame, and that just stuck with me. It's a special, very special place, and I'm forever grateful.
It's I mean, I enjoy the Hall of Fame weekend. Glad that certain players like Ichiro was one of my favorite players that wasn't on my team. Those some of those guys that you root for that didn't play for your team,
like Sandberg,
like Ryan Sandberg, who we lost this week. Joe, I mean that's another baseball great that we lost too early.
Well, he's such a great role model, and today, we need role models. As I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of danger out there, and we need people who show you how to behave. Not only have the ability to play baseball, but the human part of what you do, and be there for people to help. I mean, our baseball, to me, is a team sport, and so is life. And Rhino, he'll be missed. When he was diagnosed with cancer, we spoke a few times, and he was always very positive that he'd get through this, and he battled it, and he really left great memories for those Cub fans and baseball fans all over.
Joe, you always have a friend here to get the word out about Safe at Home's Marketplace program. And again, go to joetorre.org to learn more. Safe at Home on social media. Hall of Famer Joe Torre back on KMOX. It's great to talk to you.
Thanks, guys. It's been fun.
Thank you so much. We're going to take a break. We'll wrap up the Gashouse Gang. A few other thoughts as we get closer to the trade deadline right here on KMOX. We're sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling. SaligaHeatingandCooling.com and by Anderson Hospital. We'll be right back.
Cardinal Cowboy here. After proving the doctors wrong following my accident, I got back to baseball, started kicking field goals, and finally got paid as a pro kicker and ultimately became a leader in the marketing world. That's why I trust Renner Garage Door, exceeding expectations for over 65 years. They service, sell, and install top brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster. Get your free quote today. Check them out at RennerDoorSTL.com. Renner, forward and back. Giddy up!
RENNER, RENNER.
1 in 4 people surveyed by Bankrate.com say they're literally losing sleep because of worries that they may have not saved enough to retire. If you're ready to get serious about planning for your financial future, you could start by listening to the All Financial Hour with host Steve All of the All Financial Group.
What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's retirement look like for you? Because everybody, that picture is different. If you want assistance, we can also help you at that point.
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6. Right here on KMOX.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. So tell them today, I love you. Get screened. It could help save their life. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KMOX. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at 11 a.m.
Dive into adventure this summer at the St. Louis Aquarium's Summer of the Shark. Get face to fin with some of the ocean's most awe-inspiring creatures in shark-themed exhibits, jaw-dropping displays, and interactive experiences for the whole family. Whether you're a fin-tastic fan or just curious, there's hands-on fun and fascinating facts around every corner at the St. Louis Aquarium. Don't miss your chance to make a splash. Plan your visit today at stlouisunionstation.com. That's stlouisunionstation.com.
An important message from S&L Coins. S&L Coins pays top dollar for your gold and silver coins, old currency, gold-filled jewelry, scrap gold and silver, silver plating, gold and silver bullion. Get a quote with a call to S&L at 544-3600. S&L Coins, 544-3600. Or visit S&L Coins at 9300 Gravois, just east of McKenzie. Open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, 9 to 4 Saturday. Before you sell, call S&L 544-3600.
Experience the magic of the Fabulous Foxes 2025-2026 Broadway season, which includes the return of St. Louis favorite, The Phantom of the Opera, and the spellbinding spectacular Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And right now, KMOX has your chance to win a pair of season tickets for the 2025-2026 season. Prize package includes a pair of tickets for all 8 shows in the subscription package. Register now online at KMOX.com/contests for your chance to win.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. 1 discount per household.
We can get more sleep, we can get more sun, and we can get more exercise. But the one thing we can't get more of is time. It's time to eliminate the one phrase that could be holding you back from reaching your retirement goals. I'll take care of it tomorrow. It's time to pick up the phone and make the call to Gary Goldberg and the team at Financial and Tax Strategies. 314-991-9005 or online at checkwithgary.com.
Investment advisory services
services offered through Centaurus Financial, Inc., an FFC registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through Gary Goldberg, NPN number 918615.
Hey, it's Matt Pauley for i3 Broadband, the internet provider in the Pauley household. I think you'd love it if you had them as well. We've got the 2 gig package at our home, 2 gig upload, 2 gig download mirrored, and we're spending less money than we did with the cable company for lesser service. Plus, right now, they've got savings over $400 beyond their already low standard pricing. You got questions? They've got answers. Call 877-976-0711, and they've got people there who can answer all your questions, or head to their website, i3broadband.com.
Now back to the Gas House Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling and by Anderson Hospital on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, let's get you updated on the trade deadline and what KMOX is doing here over the next 24 plus hours. The Redbird rush hour is in the 5 o'clock hour today. We could well have a deal in place by the end of today. It's possible, but most likely Ryan Helsley would be dealt, I would think, tomorrow. I would think the Cardinals would be taking it down to the wire and see who's going to give them the best deal. I mean, somebody's going to top somebody. Yankees, Phillies, Tigers, Dodgers, you go right down the list. There are a lot of teams, that Blue Jays, that would be interested in Ryan Helsley. So we're going to take this down to the wire, but at any rate, you're going to want to listen to KMOX. Bernie Miklas is going to be on the Redbird Rush Hour today. He's going to be on the Gas House Gang with you tomorrow.
Yep.
He's going to be on the Redbird Rush Hour tomorrow. So he'll be a busy man. Bernie will be a big part of our deadline coverage.
Yeah, Redbird Rush Hour tomorrow has, like, as you mentioned, that posts, because it will happen right at deadline time. So we'll know all the deals by 5 o'clock tomorrow. And, of course, KMOX is going to keep you posted throughout the day for all of tomorrow. So you're definitely going to want to listen in. I think, we're looking at Helsley. That's the most likely that he will be traded. I would be surprised if we get the 5 o'clock tomorrow and he is still here. The real question is, what else happens in addition to that? Is it another reliever? Is it the possibility of one of the starters? Is it Sonny Gray? Is it Nolan Arenado? And I think the Astros' interest in Correa sort of complicates their interest in Arenado, though there is not any real movement on the Correa front. But I don't know. To me, Tom, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I think it's the least likely thing of all of the possibilities for the Cardinals that Arenado gets dealt.
Whatever it is, the Cardinals need pitchers, and they needed them weeks ago.
A while ago.
It's time. For Chris Ranji, for Matt Pajeski, for Joe Torre, Brendan Schaefer, I'm Tom Ackerman. Thanks for listening to the Gas House Gang.
Straight Realty has always been an industry leader when it comes to commissions, so it should come as no